thank you for coming from San Fran all the way to Europe. I know it's freezing, but apart from that, we can get over it. But let's talk first. This is all about big data. This is all about analyzing, putting the power into salespeople's hands, how to target better. Give me the one big, huge shift that's happened in the past 10 years, say, that people are having to navigate right now.
I mean, I think the big shift that we're seeing in enterprise software is that the budget is shifting from CIOs to CMOs. And as you see today is that, in the 90s and the early 2000s, you had, billions of dollars that were going towards the CIO. And today what we're seeing is that marketers are becoming more data-driven. And the reason why they're becoming more data-driven is because they can be more surgical with their efforts towards going after customers. And that's only been the case because of the increase in the amount of data that's available. Whether it's on social or access to government data or any type of data, we're seeing that CMOs have to become data-driven. And so the marketing dollars are shifting from the CIO towards marketing platforms and marketing software, away from purely sales software.
So you are at Radius helping businesses connect to other businesses. At Hearsay Social, it's about a business, an individual connecting with another individual. How are you seeing the growth in your company at the moment? Are you impressed by the amount that these sorts of financial institutions are embracing the fact that they need to start targeting and selling more specifically using data?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the trend that we're seeing. So on the consumer side, even for traditionally offline purchase decisions, whether it's coffee or it's insurance, increasingly that buyer's journey begins online. And so this is causing social, mobile, and digital to play a bigger role than ever in how businesses sell and market. So there's a huge opportunity, I think, to address the inefficiencies in how salespeople engage with clients today, and social media is a great place to start. There's a lot of big data there. It's also a highly engaged channel for the customer.
Talk to me about how you were saying how budgets are shifting, but can you break it down for the people in the audience here? Not everyone is perhaps tuned in to marketing right now, or indeed into the ways in which your businesses are growing. Give us one example of a big business that has embraced Radius, has been able to sell that much more specifically, or indeed keep a client that much more.
Right. I mean, what we do at Radius is pretty much, we connect to companies as CRMs and we analyze all of their customer data. And then we actually connect them with about 30 million other businesses in the US that they could potentially market to. So our largest customer is American Express, and what they've been able to do is segment the business population in the US by which businesses are going to be most likely to actually apply for a credit card, a green small business card, a gold small business card, a black small business card. And what we've been able to do is help them more effectively be surgical about their targeted efforts using data, such that they can go after maybe only 1 million potential customers versus marketing to all 30 million businesses that are out there. Conversely, on the smaller side, we also have a company like Zen Payroll, which is a startup that provides HR and payroll services. And what they've been able to do is identify companies that don't have HR services or don't have payroll services yet that they really should be selling and marketing into. And by analyzing who their current customer base is, we've been able to say, these segments of customers are really going to need your payroll services, you should go after them and market to them. And then they can sort of deploy campaigns directly to their sales team and directly through their marketing channels into Salesforce or other CRMs that are out there. So by using data, we're actually helping companies large and small be highly predictive in their efforts and really take advantage of billions of different data points around businesses to make sure that they're making smart decisions as a marketing organization rather than just making more flippant decisions that require them to just do brand marketing or marketing that's sort of a shotgun approach.
So at last, we're seeing big data proving useful. We're actually seeing it get into the bottom line for these companies. Give me an example from Hearsay Social of how you've helped, what your customer feedback has been.
Sure, so because our platform helps salespeople connect with their customers on social media, we tend to work with very large organizations that have B2C sales forces where reps would actually connect with a customer or prospect on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn. And so you take an insurance company, whether it's New York Life we have in the US, or AXA and Zurich Financial, European companies, multinational companies, where we're working with them worldwide. if you look at their individual insurance agents, the way that they sell, even today, it's very archaic. They're still relying on being part of the Rotary Club or being an active member of their community. And they're still relying on cold calling, and they maybe touch their customer once a year or once every few years, which is just not acceptable in today's world. And so you look at social media, and there's a great opportunity to take these agents and help amplify and drive much greater efficiency to what they've always done, which is connect to more people within their networks, and with the data insights that we're able to provide, reach out to the right customer at the right time with the right message.
So you've both flown in from America. Apologies for the jet lag. What about growth in terms of geography for you guys? You've focused on the United States and Radius. Where do you look next in terms of geographical growth for your business? Where else can you aid?
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting is that probably the next country that we're going to go into is Mexico. And the reason for that is that it's one of the fastest growing small and medium-sized business economies in the world. And there isn't really anyone that's done a good job of characterizing all the data around businesses in Mexico. And Latin America actually broadly is one of the most interesting B2B marketing economies out there. You've got major companies that are trying to sell all types of services to businesses, and currently they're just doing it with feet on the street. And it's also a very lucrative environment where you can go and provide credit cards to small and medium-sized companies at 40% APR. So if you can do a better job of helping large companies like American Express or BBVA or Telmex or any of these companies reach small business customers through data and analytics, you can actually get really good customer acquisition costs and also get very good VIG on that from those customers. So from our perspective, it's, how can we go after economies that have high small business growth and also have low regulation? And that also says that the EU really isn't the best place for us to expand to because of the regulatory environment around marketing to businesses and doing outbound marketing. The UK, however, is a pretty good economy, and we plan on expanding there shortly as well. But really our eyes are on Latin America as the next sort of continent that we go after.
You can't have a dialogue with regulators in the EU and try and point this out and say, look, you're holding back your growth. I mean, we've got next to no growth in most of the Eurozone anyway.
I guarantee you President Hollande and I would not agree on many things. So I can tell you that it probably wouldn't be worth it going into a dialogue around that. But it's very difficult to actually work in the EU and have access to data and have access to analytics and actually help companies market to small and medium-sized businesses in the EU, because it's very, very difficult to get over the sentiment that businesses and people are the same. And that sentiment is completely divorced in the US, is that you actually can do outbound marketing to businesses. You can't do that in the EU, which makes it very difficult for us to grow our business in this continent, except for the UK.
So limited growth in Europe, but the UK is the place to be. What about for Hearsay Social? Because you seem to have offices springing up left, right, and center.
We do. So Hearsay wants to go where there are salespeople, and turns out that is every corner of the world. Europe has been on fire for us. We came here about 6 to 9 months ago, and it's the fastest growing region for us now. We have our thriving office in London on Liverpool Street, and then we just hired our first team members in Asia based out of Hong Kong.
Are you going to make an awful lot of salespeople redundant? I mean, how are we changing the face of work by employing you guys? I mean, because they can be that much more targeted, that much more efficient. Is that a dialogue that you have?
All the time. I mean, there is this debate on a broader level of man versus the machine. And does AI, does machine learning, what does that mean for jobs? What does that mean for society? I think for us, salespeople, independent of Hearsay, they need to step up their game. If you are an order taker in today's economy, you are target number one to be replaced by automation. And so we want to give the tools that the next generation of salespeople need to continue to provide more value and do what humans can uniquely do, engage on an emotional, personal level, but give them the data to do so in a way that is highly relevant for today's customer.
So it's all about efficiency. It's all about growing your businesses. Talk to me as entrepreneurs. Talk to me as outside of data science. How have you were at Facebook initially. You've moved on to build a very prosperous business. Piece of advice for the entrepreneurs sat out there.
What's really interesting is that for the first 2 years of Radius, we didn't know what we were doing at all. And we really sort of were trying to figure out what was the best business model, and we tried so many different things. And also being early at Facebook, we really didn't know how big the company was going to be at that time. It seemed like there was rocket ship growth, and it was a fantastic business to be a part of. We started in a house and then sort of migrated from there. But what's really interesting is that we did the same thing at Radius. We started in a house and we grew from there, and now we're about 60 people. And it's really amazing how you really can't just take the same cookie cutter strategy that you had at one company and apply it to another. Every business is entirely different. And so I think that what's really interesting is that because you have a small team and because you are founders working together and you have camaraderie, hopefully, that you should really try as many things as you possibly can and make sure that you're failing fast. I mean, that's really the key, is that we actually didn't fail fast enough in the early days, and we stumbled upon the business model that we're using now that's working very well, and it took us 2 years to get there. And also making sure that you're persistent, is that persistence is really important in being an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter how many times you fail or how many people tell you you can't do it. I've had so many people tell me that Radius would never be successful, and now look, it's an amazing company. And so through all this growth and everything, I've really realized that you really have to be persistent and you have to be willing to fail fast. It's really, really important.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we started Hearsay 4 years ago out of my living room. It's a classic Silicon Valley story. We have 150 plus employees now, operating in 15 different countries, 4 short years. I'd say, it's really hard to do because you're in the grind, you're in the weeds, but try to enjoy every moment. Even on those days when you want to quit and you feel like there's no possible way forward, just remember it, because pretty soon your company will be so big you won't even know everyone in the company. And there's a lot of things that you take for granted in those early days that it's easy to fly right by. And then the other one I would say is, I got a piece of advice early on from one of our company advisors, Thomas Slayton. And he said that the hardest thing about a startup isn't figuring out what to do. Because we're all entrepreneurs, we see opportunity all around us. The hardest thing is actually deciding what not to do. And it turns out it's that focus that time and again, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Palantir, Hearsay, I think a lot of the companies that end up making it past that 2-year mark and then 4-year mark, it's the ones who chose to focus and made those hard decisions of what to cut.
And what about your key challenge? Everyone I've spoken to seems to say talent, the war for talent. How do you win that war?
I don't think it's war for talent, actually. I think that the best entrepreneurs evaluate talent really well, is that they're able to identify who's a really, really good person to hire and who's going to help them and who's actually going to hurt them. And that's so difficult to do, is that the best entrepreneurs evaluate talent and delegate to the best talent very, very well. And if you can evaluate the best talent, then you can spend most of your recruiting effort on the best people. And so I think that there definitely is, let's say, a war for talent, but I think at the same time it's all about evaluating and finding the best people to help you build the business. You want to find people that are smarter than you. You want to find people that are better than you. And that's really difficult to do, and if you can do it, you will be successful.
Agree with the importance of being able to discern good people. It'll make or break you, but I do think there's an extreme shortage of talent, especially in Silicon Valley. So what we've done at Hearsay, one, we're importing talent, so any of you who want to move to San Francisco, let me know. We cannot hire enough people right now in San Francisco. We also are hiring it here in Europe. And then number 2 is to look for diverse sources of talent. We talk about bringing more women into the industry, more minorities. Part of it is philanthropic, but a big part of it is just practical. We need more players. We need more engineers. We need more salespeople. We need people across the board.
Okay, you know who to send your CV to, you know who to get in contact with in terms of LinkedIn. It's been absolute joy speaking to both of you, being introduced by Dara. It's Caroline Hyde from Bloomberg, and I was very pleased to be sitting down with Darian Shirazi, I like it, Shiraz with an I, from Radius, and Hearsay Social's Clara Shih. Best of luck to both of you for the rest of 2014, and here's to 2015.
Thank you.
Thank you.